guys? Welcome back to another episode for Brandon with Shout Out Business Land Management. We are out doing some scouting today. We got one more day left of hunting, and that'll be a wrap for the season. Crazy. A lot of deer have already shed, so we're definitely looking for some antlers, and we're going to be doing some scouting next week. We're going to be firing up chainsaw, get some timber work done. We got a lot of bedding improvements we want to make, so that leads up to today's topic. Today's topic's going to be talking about habitat improvements and the three most important things, which is water, food, cover. And we'll be discussing what we've done on our property over the last couple of years and the improvements we're seeing. We had a heck of a season despite drought and tough conditions and just lower deer numbers. We definitely think we got a little EHD in our area. We still had an incredible season, and I was able to get 3 encounters with my number one target. He showed up late summer in velvet and stuck around all the way until he shut his antlers off. So that was pretty incredible to hold a mature buck in daylight, hold his attention, and create an area for him where he felt comfortable for the majority of the season. That might not have been the majority of his travel route, but it was the majority of his daylight movement, which is pretty incredible considering it's only 31 acres to be able to have a 4.5, 5.5 year old mature buck, 150s plus class deer stay on your farm that long. It shows that we're hanging stands in the right location first off, which means good access. We have cover so he feels safe. We're obviously not pressuring the farm too much or he wouldn't be showing up in daylight. And we have enough does around, and we got enough food around. Now we can increase our food. We can definitely tweak our stand locations a little bit, make them just a little bit better, because out of those 3 encounters, one of them we were very close to capitalizing, almost had a shot, but due to where we were set up, where the blind was, they just didn't feel that comfortable coming right in front of it. So we're gonna have to screen the blind better. We're probably actually gonna use miscanthus. We do have some spruce trees that we planted around it, but they're gonna take 5 to 6 years before they get tall enough to be any sort of screen for that blind. So we need to brush it in. We need some tall grasses, more brush. We just need to make it to where they want to come in front of that thing, and I think we'll get a shot opportunity. Another thing to keep in mind, and this is something that is trial and error, and as somebody who's a steward of the land of whitetail hunting, you have to keep learning. You always need to be evolving. You can't pretend that you know everything or think that you know everything, because just when you get complacent and you get kind of stuck in a routine, you start to see your success start to maybe dwindle down. Where if I keep changing, keep evolving, keep adapting, keep learning, I start to see some really good things happen. And I've had some really good encounters, and I put myself in a position every year where if I don't get a shot, I'm right on my target buck from October all the way through January. So that's showing that the practices are working. It's showing that what we're doing is going to benefit you guys. If you follow these practices, you're making these improvements, you're focusing on the 3 things, which is water, food, and cover, that you're going to increase your hunting, and you're going to increase your odds of capitalizing on a mature buck, if you have them in the area. That's the other thing, is you have to have those deer in the area to hunt those deer. So it can be, pretty disappointing when you're like, well, these practices aren't working for me. I'm not seeing, 140-inch deer. Well, if you don't have a 140-inch deer on your property, you're never going to see one. So you need to set goals, realistic goals, and you need to understand your area that you're hunting and the caliber of deer that you have in your area. So some tweaks that we can make, obviously, we can tweak our stands a little bit. We can keep improving on access. Just because our access is good doesn't mean it's great. I definitely could put more water on it. We had severe drought this year, which was unfortunate. That was a bummer. So food plots took a freaking hit, and that made it really tough. But another thing that we can be doing is the food plots that we did have make it, and that were established and that did okay, we could have hunted those a lot less. We could have pressured them a lot less. Sometimes you need to think of your features as the drawing factor and not the hunting location. And I know that's kind of a bummer because a lot of times you plant these food plots and you're like, man, that's exciting, I want to hunt right over them. Or you put a watering hole in an area where you're like, ooh, I want to stand location here, which is not a bad thing to have. There's a time and place for everything. There's a time to hunt food, there's a time to hunt water, and there's a time to hunt bedding. But that being said, I like to focus on the fringes and the transitions in between those features. So if I have a watering hole, where are they coming from? Like what bedding location are they likely to travel from to that water source? Get in between there. Or from the water source to the next food source, if that's agriculture, where can you get in between there? Or you focus on the actual travel route from and to those, that's when success starts happening. That's also going to help you not bump so many deer, because a lot of times when they get to these areas, they spend a little bit of time there. So if your stand is right over it, you got an iffy wind, or you're coming and going from that stand a lot, you're leaving a scent trail behind, you can kind of burn out the reason that that the deer are there to begin with. So especially when you have small acreage like I do, if you have a larger farm, you can get away with a lot more, but when you have small acreage, you really want to utilize every square inch of that property. So you want the food sources, you want the thick bedding, you want the water to draw them in, but you need to be careful not to overhunt it. So guys, that's the key of this week's episode, is to focus on what you have on your property and what you can improve for this coming season. If you haven't already been out there assessing timber, or looking for stand locations, or looking for a future food source, or maybe you want to put a watering hole in, I highly recommend right now to get out there, start mapping it all out, and put a plan together. And if you need help with that, you can always contact us at Shaw Outdoors Land Management. That's what we do. We do consulting work, we assess properties, I also implement work. We film everything, so anything that you maybe had an idea of what you wanted to do on your farm, there's definitely probably an episode already on our page. Go check it out. Thanks again for tuning in on this week's episode.